So they just called me in. I was handed this. I only had a few minutes before they called me in as the next person to read. And they asked me if I had any questions, and I said, nope, I'm good. And then they said, okay. Tony, listen. You're of a different world, a whole different kind of people. I don't mean money or socially, like that's too silly. But your family and mine, it wouldn't work, Tony. It just wouldn't work. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. Some people could walk away, but I couldn't. I know they do rather strange things, but they're gay and they're fun and I don't know. There's a kind of nobility about them. Tony, your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable, and your father raises orchids because he can afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by mistake. And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago he just quit work one day. He went up the elevator and back down. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man, but he said he wasn't having any fun, so now he just collects snakes and goes to circuses and commencements. Could you explain Grandpa to your father, Tony? You couldn't, Tony. You just couldn't. I love you, Tony, but I love them too. And it's no use, Tony. It's no use. Okay, so then let's say they said, I love it. Then let's say they gave me an adjustment. I have to think of one. Okay, so I just did that. Let's say they like it, but they want to give me an adjustment to C. So let's say that they just said, let's say Tony's parents are right outside the door and he's about to bring them in and you need to stop him. So that sort of changes the monologue, right? So then I would go again. I would keep my action. Tony, listen. You're of a different world, a whole different world of people. I don't mean money or socially. That's too silly. But your family and mine, it just wouldn't work, Tony. It just wouldn't work. I love them, Tony. I love them dearly. Some people could break away, but I couldn't. They do rather strange things. But they're gay and they're fun and I don't know. There's a kind of nobility about them. Tony, your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable and your father raises orchids because he can afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by mistake. And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit work one day. He went up the elevator and came back down again. He stopped. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man, but he said he wasn't having any fun. So now, for 35 years, he's just been collecting snakes and gone to circuses and commencements. Please, could you explain Grandpa to your father? You couldn't, Tony. You couldn't. You just couldn't. I love you, Tony, but I love them too, and it's no use, Tony. It's no use. Okay, this monologue was a rapid prep, and it was from like a pretty well-known play, but also a play that like you probably know the basic, like if you're in this world, you probably know like the basic world it is, but you might not like know it in detail. So for this rapid prep, I wanted to do a different kind of audition experience than I did the other one. The other one, I did it where I was called back for a very specific character. I did what I was brought, I brought in the scene that it was, and then while I was there, they handed me something new, but I had like 20 minutes to work on it. So I was dressed in a specific way and all of this. This one, I wanted to emulate my experience with like doing regional theater generals. Regional theater generals are a whole different ball game when it comes to auditioning. First, you have like this very small window to bring your package, and you do it in front of dozens of theaters, and depending on your skill set, you might have a song or two, or you might have two monologues, or you might have a song or a monologue. But then, after all the generals are done and like hundreds of people have gone, then they'll list whether or not you got called back. And each theater will be like in a room, and it'll be like a list of who was called back for that theater. And then later that evening, you go to the callback. Now the callback can be different. One of the callbacks that I was brought to, they didn't have us read at all. It was more like an info session about their theater and like how it worked. I think it was to sort of gauge interest and to maybe weed out anyone that maybe wouldn't fit and allow us to ask questions because it was an outdoor theater and like a very specific type of environment. But they didn't have anyone read anything. And then another callback that I had, they had me redo my song, and then they handed me sides. And it was not a play I knew, but this is pretty common. So some of them might have the sides right outside for you to prepare while you wait for everyone. Some of them, they may hand it to you in the room, and you only have a few minutes. So in this case, I imagined I showed up. It's a regional theater. They're doing 3 to 5 shows this summer, and one of them is you can't take it with you. And they're looking for Alice or someone who could double as Alice or maybe some of the other roles. But they're going to have people that they think might be Alice or could fit that track read this Alice monologue here. So I didn't have a lot of time. It's just handed to me, and then they say, take a few minutes. So I gave myself 3. I don't know that you always get 3 because you don't want to like sit there for like 5 minutes doing a lot. So what do you do when you have like no time? The first thing is slow down. It feels like you have no time, and I am honestly not the best at this because I feel the pressure and they're like watching me read, and it could be very awkward. So auditioners, if you give someone something and they need to read it, like look away. Don't like watch them read. That's my own thing. But so I would read it slowly and be like, okay, the first question, what is actually going on? Now I sort of know the play, but I've not been in this play. I've not read this play. I think I saw it like 10 years ago. I don't remember it a lot, but I remember that the family is kooky, and Alice, I can tell from this, is like the romantic lead, and Tony is someone not in the family, and maybe Alice is the most normal of everyone in the family, and Tony wants to like meld his family and her family, and she's like, look, I think this is just not going to work. So what is this in general? It's a breakup scene. And Alice doesn't want to do this breakup. I think that's key here. This isn't like Alice, this isn't a triumphant. This is a sad breakup scene. This is like, maybe she's hoping it might actually work out, but we can't. Like, it's not going to work out. It's just too different. So this is a breakup scene. And I know that it's comedy, and I know that it's classic. So it isn't like, she's not going to work, Tony. I mean, that's funny if you do it that way. But I know that, like, I know that the stakes need to be somewhere where it's not going to bring the entire play down. Now, tonally, the director may want like a lot of realism or deep dramatic moments. That happens sometimes in comedies, especially like, I think that's more popular to do now, not to keep everything so light. But this is regional theater. The audience members are probably not like the New York theater going crowd seeing all the newest work all the time. So this is maybe more of like a comfort play in their lineup. And so I'm going to err on the side of grounded and real, but not falling apart. That's my choice. Okay. And then what I do is I just pick an action in a situation. So for me, I had help a loved one out of a jam, and I pictured my sister needed some help with something, and I was going to help her out. And I was telling her, it's all going to be okay. I'm going to help you out. And then I just let that come through me in the monologue. And that's really my process if I don't have a lot of time. Something that I chose very specific, and I'll do this not to be like different, not to do that, but to help me set up the scene, number one, for myself, so I have something to ground me. So I decided to put Grandpa over here, like, Grandpa's sitting in that chair playing with a snake. And you're like, how are you going to bring your mom to this? So that I did. And then very common, they might give me an adjustment. So then they gave me an adjustment and say, Tony's parents are right outside the door and you're like not going to let them in. So to me as an actor, when I hear this, don't go, oh my God, I messed it up. Stop. It's so hard. It is so hard. And believe me, I have great audition stories and I have auditions that I have just, hit the pavement with my face on because I got so in my head. But that, as an actor, if I have to translate it, tells me they want a little more urgency. That doesn't mean fast, but they want a little more urgency. It could also just be that they're throwing something out to see if I can adjust. But they weren't like re-explaining everything to me in that adjustment. Breakdown longer than the monologue. Anyway, I like doing some of these rapid prep. They are a nice challenge in a different way, and we still get the monologue out there. So if you liked this monologue, please give it a like, and be sure to subscribe because we will keep exploring more monologues together in the 1000 Monologues Challenge. Thanks so much.